Welcome back to Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade. Last time, Lyn met some knights who were a little goofy at first, thanks to the tutorial, but helped her escape some assassins who were sent by her granduncle, because it turns out that she's actually the heir to the throne of a kingdom. And now, we, continue to ponder the implications of that. But, you know, what legendary hero's journey would be complete without a legendary sword? A small altar lies in the outskirts of Bolgar. This ancient temple, sacred to the people of Sakai, has long been known for its powerful bonds to the world of spirits. Before starting their journey, our travelers come here to pray for their well-being. At this altar, Lyn's hand is directed to a grand inheritance. And the reason why I said earlier that her sword rank wouldn't actually matter that much. Sword of Spirits. Yeah, I kind of got spoiled on what was going to happen in this chapter because, I saw the screenshot of, one of the CGs of this chapter, in a review in the GBA magazine. That was actually what got me into this game. I would have got into that in the intro video. That magazine was pretty fun, GBA World. It's funny, it proudly proclaimed itself as 100% unofficial, which I always thought was kind of funny. Instead of a long journey. Well, that's convenient. Oh, interesting, okay. Kent has opinions on religious conversion, I guess. Another thing that kind of went over my head when I was 12. Oh, wait, hang on. This guy's like a variant on one of the Binding Blade boss's portraits, I think. That's interesting. Okay, so, elephant in the room, this game is indeed a prequel to Fire Emblem 6 Binding Blade. I actually don't want to talk about that much, because I kind of feel like this game works better if you don't know that. Or rather, I'd like to give you all the experience that I had during my first playthrough when I didn't know that. For all I knew back then, this was the first game in the series. And yeah, I'm gonna be kind of pretending that it is for the rest of this playthrough. Threaten me as you will, but I'll not give up the Menai Katti. Yes, that was another name that I mispronounced when I was 12 years old. I was bad at pronouncing things. That voice suddenly turned into an impression of Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge Grandpa, but I guess that is just the standard funny old man voice. Oh, this line. So, this line is funny. In any other game, this guy would be 100% right, but in this game, there is a major benefit to hoarding items and not using them. Yeah, okay, so this one line, in a lot of, like, back in the day, this guy was as much of a meme as Bard of the Beast. Aside from this one line, I really just don't see it. I don't know, he just looks very generic, and honestly, aside from the sword itself, this chapter is kind of one of the most filler maps in Lyn mode. It's one of, like, I honestly, I actually like a lot of the Lyn mode chapters. This one is probably my least favorite. I feel like you could easily cut this without really affecting the story, but it would affect Lyn's combat prowess significantly, so, yeah, we kind of still need to have this. Okay, well, be thankful that you're not in the world of Quest for Camelot, otherwise attempting to pull out this sword would have killed you. But yeah, speaking of which, the world of Alib is very, very heavily influenced by Arthurian mythology. A lot of the characters are named after characters from the Song of Roland and other Arthurian works, and a lot of places are also named after those things. And a lot of the story tropes are also very Arthurian, like, you know, this whole sword thing that you can only pull out if you're worthy, obviously is a very Excalibur thing. I love how he just shoves the guy in the room and locks the door. So as I picture this lady having, like, kind of a Cockney-ish accent, but considering we're in Sakai, she probably doesn't. Well, I mean, it's gonna take them a while to do that. They're probably gonna have to, like, pull the altar off of its, like, stone, and then they'll be running around with a sword, that still has the stone stuck in it, which isn't that, like, a weapon for a character in, like, a... There's a game that has a joke weapon like that, that's like Excalibur, but with the stone still on it, because the character isn't worthy. I forget what game that's from. I know that it's from something, though. So, our tutorial of the day is houses! 3 buildings are homes. You can speak with the people who live there. Now, I kind of like this. I sort of miss this feature in later Fire Emblem games. Like, they don't really do this anymore. I mean, granted, it's kind of been replaced by hubs, but yeah. Any one-tile wide house like this is not going to give you any item or anything. It just gives you a little bit of flavor. I'm going to try and visit all of these if I can. Yeah, it's going to make me not really efficient, but oh right, Lynn has to do this. This is a tutorial that actually gets cut short if you, if Kent or Sane are down, because you'll only be able to be forced to visit the first house with Lynn. Obviously, Lynn can't be, lost because of the, you know, game over condition. The bandits have the main entrance guarded. One of the altar's walls is cracked and in poor repair. So this is the other main tutorial of this chapter, breaking walls. But now we have to select the other things. So yeah, this wall here has 30 HP. And I'll cover that when we get to it. I do like that the characters just have, like, little lines like, hey, it's my turn, I'm ready to go. I mean, you know, in this case, in Fire Emblem, like, modern games, a lot of the characters will say things when they're selected, but I mean, like, in the tutorials. Like, it reminds me a little bit of, like, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 1's in-character tutorials, where, if you haven't seen those, like, already, definitely look them up. Like, the characters explain their gameplay gimmicks in character. It's really neat. Remember, your mouse unit possesses the ability to move again. Yeah, move again is the literal translation of what would later become Kanto, or Canter, I guess. Yeah, the same goes for characters mounted on Pegasi and Wyverns, which we'll be seeing later on, maybe sooner than we think, hint hint. So yeah, the visit isn't necessary for combat purposes, however, its residents may have useful knowledge. I recommend stopping by. Who the heck is this? Who's giving these tutorials? I don't think you ever find out, but they refer to themselves in, like, first person, so clearly they're somebody. That's right, they're talking about the Elamine Church. Maybe this is, like, this world's god. I talk about this later on, like, in a much later part that I've recorded in advance, but, like, Elebe actually has a male god in it, which is kind of weird for a Fire Emblem game. But I guess he's the one giving the tutorials. I don't know. Well, not really, if you know your mythology. But yeah, Kanto didn't really help us there, but still. I sort of like the muted tone of this map. You should know something about fortresses. Fortresses can set up spikes and explode. Oh wait, that's Pokemon. Yeah, another one. My mispronunciations extend to Pokemon too. I used to call Fortress just Fortress. Yeah, be careful of enemies going on forwards. They can get very annoying. Yeah, so you'll also automatically heal at the start of a turn, just like a gate or a throne does. And they give you defense and evasion too. So yeah, if you want to play very, very slowly, you can just wait on a fort until you've recovered all your health. Enemies actually do have AI that causes them to go to forts to heal if they're on low health, but don't rely on that, because sometimes if they can kill one of your units, they will ignore self-preservation and go for the kill. I've seen a lot of Iron Mans that are like, oh, but this guy's in heal AI, and then somebody dies, so I would not recommend assuming that an enemy is going to be in heal AI. So yeah, the forts here, yeah, they give you 2 defense as well as 20 evasion, but this bandit, see, I'm actually tempted just to fight it. It might end up going on the fort, but honestly, I don't really care. It's still going to be pretty easy to fight. No, this theme is still really nice. Okay, Sane took a hit there, but it's pretty much fine. Candy is level 2. Okay, so he's up there now. Lynn can move up there, which, yeah, she's getting outpaced by the cavalry already. Oh, going for Kent, huh? So because I am going to be showing the Elwood exclusive chapters from a different file, and in that file, I trained Sane. So I wonder if this is telling me that I'm going to be using Kent this playthrough. It kind of depends on the level ups. Usually whenever I try to train both of the knights and just see which one gets the better level ups. Although, you know, it's beneficial to use both of them. In the fandom, conventional wisdom used to be that you should only use one character of each class, but that's considered very wrong now. Using as many paladins as possible is kind of a good thing. So yeah, we have to defeat the leader of the enemy on the throne, defeat him and have Lyn seize. So this is a bit of a redundant tutorial, because it's essentially the same as seizing the Gur from the prologue. But this is just showing that in indoor maps, or this is like a partially indoor map, then thrones take the place of gates. He's a sword-bearing mercenary, so now we actually need to use our lances for once. What weapon is able to be drawn? Correct! The lance! Yeah, they're kind of treating you like you're an idiot, but, you know. As I said, this was meant to be everybody who didn't speak Japanese's first Fire Emblem game, so it's understandable. So yeah, this wall right here. Attacking walls works differently to attacking other things. You'll never double attack, and you're effectively considered as attacking something with 0 defense, so you'll be dealing exactly as much damage as your attack stat. I do not like the fact that I'm doing 14. Aha! Sane can 2-hit KO the wall. Nice. That makes things a little quicker. So let's have Kent go down here. And, oh, hey, he's doubling this guy. Yeah, I'm doing the same damage with the lance as I am with the sword, even though the lance has 2 more power, because I'm losing 1 attack power to the weapon triangle disadvantage on the lance, and I'm gaining 1 attack power to the advantage on the sword. So they actually average out to being the same power. The weapon triangle bonus was actually a little different in the previous game, but I promised that I wouldn't be talking about the previous game too much. So, okay, that guy is down, and now, like, as you can see, they didn't really leave that much for Lyn, so, this is why Lyn can often have problems. So I do like the enemy battle theme, too. This guy's gonna get doubled and die, isn't he? Yep, okay, so, still, not any from Lyn. However, Sane's gonna be, too busy breaking this wall to, attack the next bandit, so Lyn might be able to go for this guy. So let's go with the lance on that wall. And I don't want Sane to get attacked by the bandit because, you know, that's weapon triangle disadvantage. So I'm going to put Lyn here. If I put Lyn here, the bandit will be able to attack from the pillar, which has 1 defense and 20 evasion. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have Lyn just go there instead. And Kent, objectively, I should just have Kent run in there. But, okay, 5 defense, 2 defense. He's probably going to go for Lyn. I mean, I wouldn't mind him going for Kent because, yeah, he's going to go for Lyn. Yeah, I thought so. Enemies usually prioritize what they'll do the most damage against. Okay, you know, I could actually have Kent take this guy out to free up Lyn to move over to the boss, because even though Lyn only has weapon triangle neutrality against the boss, that's still better than disadvantage, so I wouldn't mind doing that. Also, I can have Kent fight from the pillars. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, otherwise Lyn's just kind of stuck there. This will give Kent a level up, too. I think that, like, I used to call it horse clothes, that thing on the horse. I think it was a gambeson? Yeah, so Kent specializes more in skill and speed rather than Sane's strength. I do prefer Sane overall, but Kent is pretty cool too. So okay, I mean, I could actually have, yeah, let's actually have Lyn go down here and fight that bandit. And meanwhile, Sane, yeah, the difference actually isn't that much because the Iron Sword has so much accuracy, but I can kind of 2-hit KO this guy or set him up for a 2-hit KO. In fact, you know, I'm going to actually have Sane go here. I only take 3 damage, so let's have him wait and attack on the enemy phase just because I don't want to kill him too quickly. Well, I am much stronger than you. That's not a good one-liner. But anyway, we can see this nice-looking red carpet here, even though it's just a shrine, not a castle. So, in the Japanese version, they actually nerfed... Thrones provided a much stronger bonus to defense and evasion. They actually nerfed the throne terrain in the English translation. Well, the Everywhere But Japan translation. Sorry to be a little, you know, English, non-English exclusionist, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but, like, yeah. So yeah, they actually did nerf the throne terrain in the English version. And it wasn't the only thing they nerfed in the English version, but we'll be seeing that in the next chapter. For now, I think I'm going to have Lyn try and get the kill on this guy. Yeah, even if she doesn't, even if she misses the second hit, she just barely doesn't die. Ugh. Yeah, those are nice last words. Now, finishing the map with Lyn that close to a level up is kind of nice, because it means that she'll level up off the first thing she fights in the next chapter, and that means you can keep resetting for good level ups, but you can also do that with the rewind feature, but I'm not going to be relying on that. Yeah, sometimes you get items when defeating enemies. A single unit can carry a maximum of 5 items. You don't have separate item and weapon inventories in this game, so if you stock up on 5 weapons, then you won't have any room for vulneraries. Yeah, so any item that is listed in glowing green or yellow, apparently? I always thought it was green. You'll get that item for defeating the unit. Yeah, you know what? I think I'll give Sane another chance here. Not so much another chance, I mean, like, give Sane the chance here, because, like, I'm kind of leaning towards using Kent more in this run, but, like, it's good to have Sane level up, too. Unfortunately, there's not much that Kent can do here, but now we have nothing left to do but just seize the throne. No reason to use vulneraries right now, because there are no more enemies. So yeah, that was a pretty quick chapter, and we didn't even have any bios to go over, so, kind of a short video, I guess, but, I sort of want to keep each, chapter to its own video. Yeah, as I was saying, yeah, they nerfed the throne bonus. That guy had lame last words. I didn't actually get to fully explain how suspending worked in the last map, so suspend is a temporary save. It gets erased when you reload the file. Also, and this is actually, I always consider this pretty mind-blowing for the GBA, if your game gets turned off without saving, the game automatically suspends. Now, this does mean that, because when I was 12 years old, often when I had a character die, I would abruptly turn off the game. Not always, but I would do it sometimes. And then I would try and reload the file, but if you do that, it automatically suspended on the moment of that unit dying, by the way. And no matter how much you reload the file, the combat would always play out the same way. And that is actually another thing to talk about this game, the way that the RNG works. If you keep reloading the same thing and doing the exact same actions, then you'll always get the same results. I'll try and explain that in more detail when I get to another chapter, because it's a little bit advanced for, like, this point in the game. I believe, Mani Katti means moon sword. But I used to pronounce it Mani Katti, because I thought that sounded cooler. I was probably subconsciously influenced by the Kara Kitai in the Genghis Khan campaign of Age of Empires 2, I think.
But beware the Kara Kitai, they are without honor.
What? The main character is the rightful wielder of the legendary sword? I never would have guessed. Yeah, this is just like, I mean, this, in a way, this, like, is like how, like, the actual Chekhov's gun trope is supposed to be done, whereas, like people these days think of Chekhov's gun as meaning, like, anything that foreshadows something that happens later, but what a Chekhov's gun actually is, like, literally, if you put a loaded gun on stage at some point in your play, somebody should use that gun at some point. If they don't, what's the point of even putting it there? So that the equivalent here is, if you're putting a legendary magical sword that only the worthy can use in your story, well then obviously somebody in the story is going to be able to use that sword at some point. Like, otherwise, there's no reason why you would put that in your narrative. I do like this artwork too. This is the one that I got spoiled on, like, when I first played this from a magazine review. Grip this sword. That does sound kind of weird. So yeah, we got the Mani Katti. Here is something that I really wish I knew when I was 12. Feel free to spam the Mani Katti as much as you want, because it gets fully repaired at the end of Lyn's story. I did not know this, and I was like, oh no, it only has a limited number of uses for the whole game. I should only use it in emergencies. No. Use it every single time Lyn fights from now on. You will thank me later. It is like the one thing stopping Lyn from being a horrible unit in Lyn mode. You really need to have her spam this sword. So yeah, I didn't actually find that out for a long time, by the way. Like, even on my second or third playthroughs, I didn't know that. I was still trying to conserve it. This sounds like Sane is shipping Lyn from the money Katti, honestly. I mean, I suppose while I'm here, like, I can kind of comment on the fact that, like, some people do ship Lyn with the Tactician, and I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, it's not an actual option in, like, supports and stuff, because the Tactician isn't actually a unit, but, like, the thing is, I talked earlier in the playthrough about that, by earlier in the playthrough, I mean a few videos ago, about that, like, Fire Emblem Warriors support conversation with Lyn and Robin. The way that Lyn talks about, like, feeling this instinctive urge to protect, a Tactician.
In my homeworld, I always kept the Tactician close and safe. You triggered my natural instinct. So you understand why I get this sudden urge to protect you. You may not like it, but protecting you will make me feel better.
It almost feels like her bond with the Tactician is more familial, like she views them as a younger sibling or even a child. No offense to people who do ship Lyn and the Tactician, but like, that is kind of like how I see it after that Warriors conversation, which came way later than this game, but still. Ah, we have our first Meanwhile in Villain Land scene. That's a trope that I kind of invented, but I love that name. I don't think it's an actual TV trope. Maybe I should petition to have it be a TV trope. I probably wouldn't actually get it through, but yeah. There might be another name for it, but basically it's a flashback. It's a not a flashback. It's a flash to where you, the omniscient observer, get to see like the villains plotting and scheming, while the other characters don't know what's going on. It's a great way to build up the threat of a villain. If you want more evidence of why this trope is considered cool by a lot of people, watch the ProZD skit about the 7 guys. It's very similar to this trope. Burner's full of bandits. She's just a girl. She'll not survive her journey here. I'm more concerned with my older brother. His life must be ended quickly. The poison. There must be no blunders. I'm not like a great voice actor, but should I do that? It's funny to do like a silly villain. Like this guy definitely fits having that kind of voice. So yeah, they're poisoning. Yeah. They're poisoning his brother, and he's gonna die of a sudden illness. At least it's better than accidentally brutally stabbing herself in the stomach while shading. Soon, Kaelin will be mine. Yeah, this guy's a pretty typical villain, but like, I don't know. He works for the story they're telling. I actually do quite like Lundgren as a villain. Although, okay, now that I just realized that I in my head, I kind of see him with Gary Oldman's voice for the villain in Quest for Camelot.
One day that sword will be in my hand, and all will be mine.
Like that voice would work on Lundgren. But anyway, Lyn now has a cool new sword. Next time on Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade, she hopefully gets to use it. And we also meet the other absolute best beneficiary of Lyn mode.